Hey everybody, my name is John Chow with Cruise Addicts, and I'm so glad to have you here. We're going to be talking cruising today. There's so much going on in the cruise industry, and we've got a special guest, Michael Consoli, with Michael Consoli and Associates, and we're going to get him in here and talk about what's going on within the world of cruising. But we're so glad to have you all here. We're going to wait for people to come in. But first and foremost, please make sure to check in. Let us know where your upcoming cruise is. That's what we like to have here. We like everybody from the community. We've got a wide range of communities here with Royal Caribbean, Viking, Carnival, and of course, Cruise Addicts. We want you all to check in. Let us know what your upcoming cruise is. And if you have a cruise question, we have a foremost expert here, and we're going to go into that right now. It's Michael Consoli of Michael Consoli and Associates at planmycruise.com, and we're going to get him here. Hey, Michael, how are you?
Hey, John, good. How are you?
Good. And I want to start off the show here with a big congratulations. And I've got it's such a long list here. I wrote it all down here. But Michael and his team recently attended their annual convention, and he received 8 top producer awards, the most they've ever received. So just amazing and big congratulations from all of us at the Viking Cruises Group and everybody. Just really excited. And I'm going to list them off. But wow. So #1 in river cruise agent for the 8th consecutive year, not the first. Number 1 in luxury cruise agent for the 6th consecutive year. #1 in luxury land package agent for the 3rd consecutive year. #1 in Viking producer for the 8th consecutive year. Wow. And Viking top global producer for 2022 for the 7th consecutive year. Also, top producer for escorted tours for the 3rd consecutive year, top producer for celebrity cruises for the 7th consecutive year, and a #1 Alliance Travel Insurance and Sales. So, wow.
Yeah, it's really just because, I mean, my clients are very loyal and they continue to send us, repeat business, repeat and referral. And that's so important to us. So I'm very grateful to all of those guests that have traveled with me that continue to do that. And of course, my team who helps me work really hard to provide the best service to our guests.
So. Yeah, it is a team approach here. And congratulations to everybody. And as you all can see, Michael's really hardworking with him and his team, providing just award-winning service. As you can see, I mean, you can't make that up. Just incredible for so many years. I mean, some people have a career that long, and they've been award-winning for much longer than that. So just amazing. And he's our guest today. He's going to be able to provide, if you have a cruise question, if you want to get an expert answer from an award-winning travel agent, this is your chance to ask your questions. So many people post in our groups, message boards, even Facebook pages, and ask questions. Here's your chance to get it live, and we're going to do our best to help you get your answer. But like I said, also please check in, say hello. We want to hear from you. We want to even if just a quick hello. Everyone's welcome to just check in and celebrate cruising because it's back, and we're excited about it. And there's been so much news going on, Michael. I know tomorrow I'll be attending Carnival Celebrations naming ceremony at Port Miami. They're opening a new terminal and Terminal F, so that's going to be celebrated as well. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of new terminals and new ships coming online, so that's really exciting. I know I was just, as you were, on the Norwegian Prima at the new Norwegian terminal, which was really impressive. Royal Caribbean has a brand new terminal in Miami as well. So, really some exciting new things going on in the industry. Just because of COVID, these cruise lines, they still had these contracts for buildings and for ships, and they had to continue with them. So they're definitely still coming online.
I know it's incredible how much is happening all at one time. It just seems like there's just a flurry of activity and major activity at that. And I know there's headlines all around that the cruise lines are breaking records. Record sales are happening. So it just seems like everything's happening, like a major resurgence in the cruise industry.
Yeah, I think that we're seeing such demand for 23 and 24. It's just incredible. And the since we're talking about Viking product, I think when you look at some of the dates, a lot of the dates for itineraries on the Douro, British Isles, Egypt, they're all sold out for 2023. many of the river itineraries in the popular months of May and September are really well sold. There are dates where you can't find suites or you can't find verandas. The demand is through the roof. So I think that if clients are waiting, if guests are waiting to find, the perfect deal, we're seeing those deals now, right? Because they are already selling so much of the inventory for 23. It's incredible.
Yeah, and that's almost hard to believe because we both have been around the cruise industry, and I don't think I've ever seen anything like this.
No, I've never seen anything like it. It's just unbelievable.
And you have people just kind of casually. I know we just talked about. I had a relative call me the other day and asked, and I'm like, the more we were talking about what they wanted to do, I said, some things are selling out. You might have to just say what you kind of want to do and see what fits, because there's the availability. Because they were kind of talking about price. I said, but look, that's the price is there because everybody asks, do you book early? Do you wait for a last minute deal? And I'm like, there is no really last minute deals right now because things are selling out a year ahead of time, depending on the product you're looking at.
They are. And I think that guests are a little, surprised when I tell them, right? Like we look at like Alaska for next year. It's so well sold. I mean, on all the lines, like try to find cabins. I had a client call me yesterday and they're like, I have 18 people that we want to take on a family cruise. It was a struggle to find where we could put those 18 people. Cabins for 3 and 4 were few and far between. So it's, it's very exciting. It's an exciting time in the industry. It's exciting for the guests that are getting to travel again. We have a lot of happy phone calls, which is very nice.
Yeah, that's good because that was great to have that phone call come in. People want to book, but then it's difficult to get the supply, right?
Right, exactly.
So I know we're getting some questions here. Let's see here. We've got. Let's see. Steve was talking about he was worried about laundry during a 17-day river cruise. So let's see. He was wondering what else can he do. He said he's got a 17-day river. That is a long river cruise, isn't it? And he can't see paying high prices that is charged, for laundry. So wow.
Well, it's really, really tough on the river, right? Because on ocean, the guests have complimentary self-service laundry on the ocean ships, but the river ships don't have the ability to do that. The ships are much smaller, so they do offer laundry service. And as he referenced, there are charges for the laundry service. However, I will say the prices, I believe, are really reasonable when you compare them to hotel laundry charges or even other cruise line laundry charges. The price that Viking charges to do laundry on board the river cruise ships is pretty reasonable. The only other thing you can do, really, there's complimentary laundry offered in the top 2 suites on the ship, in the AA Veranda suite or in the Explorer suite. But I do think that the cost of those upgrades would exceed the cost of just doing a couple bags of laundry during that time. The alternative would be to ask the concierge on board the ship if you can go off the ship one day and do laundry somewhere. There are places in Europe to do laundry, and that would really be the other alternative, in addition to possibly packing more clothes. So, but I know you're going to have a wonderful trip on a 17-day cruise. Viking provides an outstanding experience, and I think that you'll be less concerned about the laundry once you get on board.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. A 17-day cruise. I know we talked about that. That almost sounds like a Grand European.
Yeah. I think it might be capitals of Europe. Maybe that's the length of the sailing. Sounds like it might be that. So
okay. So what did you think of Norwegian Prima?
I thought it was great. It's a great ship, beautifully designed. I had just gotten off Beyond. We were on Beyond for the Celebrity Beyond for the inaugural. And then our conference was kind of sandwiched between the two. So it was a great comparison. I love a new ship. It doesn't matter if it's a new Viking ship or any other cruise line. I love to experience the new ships.
What did Celebrity Beyond? I know you love that class of ship because I know we've talked about it before. Do you have any things about that ship that you want to share with anybody?
It's very different than the previous 2 ships, the Edge and the Apex. Those ships are, they're all sister ships, the 3 of them. And then we have the Ascent that is coming next year. So they did a really great change on board the Celebrity Beyond and moving the bar that is in the heart of the ship, the Martini bar, which everybody loves. They made it a little bit larger with these tiered bars above it, and then so it's really an entertainment space. One of the favorites, I think, of celebrity guests to have access or to have that special space of the Martini bar in the center of the ship. So yeah, it was incredible.
Cool. Let's see here. We got some other questions here. Let's see. We've got a Facebook user. This is from the Facebook group. Michael just got back from an amazing Viking antiquities and of the Mediterranean cruise, and looking forward to our British Isles cruise. So glad you're our travel agent. Oh,
I am very glad I'm your travel agent too. I'm very happy to know you had a wonderful time. And I'm so sorry we can't see your name, or I would say, who you were, but we thank you for your business and very happy that you had such a wonderful trip.
And in the future, there's a little link that you got to give permission to StreamYard, the software we use, to give it permission to use your name because you're behind the group. So, and then we also have another Facebook user. It says, glad we booked the British Isles 2023. Looking forward to working with you, Michael.
Oh, thank you. Yep, I'm looking forward to working with you too. Thank you so much.
And be sure, I've actually listed Michael's contact information below. You call him at 1-800-913-7245 or email him at michael@planmycruise.com and visit him at planmycruise.com. And we've also got someone here. Let's see. Stuart Little said, just got back from the iconic Adriatic Antiquities on Viking Jupiter. Awesome, Stuart. Thanks for your comment. We really appreciate it.
And Stuart had such a great time on his trip. He booked another cruise while he was on board. So yeah, I just got notification of that a few days ago. So yeah, I'm so glad you had a great time, Stuart. I don't think people realize that, and we talk about this sometimes, John, that the extra savings that people can get by booking on board the ship, this goes with all cruise lines, but Viking specifically will usually give a significant onboard credit. They'll double the past guest discount. They'll push back the final payment to 6 months prior. And if you're working with a travel agent that you like, the travel agent will get credit for that sale, even though you booked on board. So, and can still assist you with all the planning. So we encourage our clients to book on board anytime they have the opportunity. And Viking definitely provides an incredible value for doing so. And it's important to note that the booking on board is only available on the ocean ships right now. They have a dedicated onboard cruise consultant that will assist with, guests with rebooking on other itineraries, which can include river or anything else that Viking sells. But on the river cruise ships, they do not book on board. And instead, they sell future cruise certificates, or what they call an onboard cruise certificate, that you can purchase for $100, and it will give you $200 off your next cruise. So in addition to the past guest discount that you get for booking with Viking, the $100 or $200 that you get off for being a past guest, you can also throw one of these certificates on there as well, which you pay $100 for and get $200 off the next cruise. So it's a really good value. So regardless of whether you're sailing on ocean or river, I do encourage our guests to take advantage of those special offers.
And many cruise lines do that. And it's kind of like an inside secret for people that do a lot of cruising, is it's basically free money, right?
Yeah, it's basically free money. So you're getting a really good value. And, with the Viking product, when people book on board the ocean, they are able to move it. So they can book it, get the savings, get the, push back the final payment, all of the benefits of booking on board. And then if, they get home and they want to change it, they do allow them to revise the booking or change the booking to another sailing and still keep those benefits. So that's really significant to know.
Yeah, so you have the flexibility there.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. That's cool. So we've got more comments here. And so we have a Facebook user. I'm guessing this is on Viking. Hello, I'll be cruising December 4th through the 11th, 2022. That's awesome.
Yeah,
It's coming up.
I'm going to be cruising the Christmas markets on the Danube from the 27th to the 4th. So I don't know if this person's on the river or the ocean, but yeah, it's a great time to cruise in Europe. Even during the winter, during the holiday markets cruises, it's an incredible time to be in Europe because nobody celebrates the holidays the way the Europeans do.
No, we've talked about that. I got to say it to say it. I think everybody should do a Christmas markets cruise, and if you have the means, do them regularly because
Yes.
it's really amazing. We've done 2 of them on the Danube and the Rhine, and we actually love them. Just love them to death. It's like you're in a storybook.
Yeah, it really is incredible. It's so funny. I tell my clients, get a pocket full of €5 bills and just go from place to place and try all the foods that they offer and the glue wine and all of that stuff. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, it's a culinary adventure because every Christmas market, and of course, it's usually in the shadow of a cathedral. Incredible. It's just great. I mean, from Budapest to Germany to France, it's just really, really amazing. I mean, it's just incredible.
And what I think people don't realize is that if they've done the Rhine in September and they go back and do the same itinerary and during the holiday markets, it's a very different experience, totally different focus of the itinerary. And even some of the holiday markets cruises have additional or different ports, even though they occur on the Rhine. The cruise line wants to focus on the holiday markets, and some of these cities have some incredible markets. Like Cologne probably has some of the most incredible Christmas markets in all of Europe, as does Vienna. So it's an experience unto itself. So even though you've done one of the river cruise itineraries before, to do it during the holiday markets is a totally different experience, and it will be unlike the first experience you had on that river. So,
and we were living in Florida at the time, and it was our first river cruise. It was on the Rhine, and so we knew it was gonna be cold. We looked up the temperatures, and we're like, "What's really gonna be cold?" We actually saw snow, and but one of the things that was nice about it is we also learned that there's not a lot of ships doing this. So there's a much. These basically are really, really popular places in Europe that normally might be really, really busy, but because you're on a Christmas markets cruise, there's very little river traffic, and there's also very little tourist traffic overall. So it can be really a great opportunity to see Europe without a little bit less crowds, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. And you have to bring an extra empty suitcase because you're gonna fill it up.
Yeah, and the prices are really reasonable.
Yeah.
You're gonna fill your belly because it is a smorgasbord of. I was like in foodie heaven. I was like, what are they making here? Because
Yeah.
I mean,
That's what I do. I buy it and I taste it and I hand it off and I go to the next place.
Did you know though? I was going to mention this to you. So you're in the Atlanta area, and so am I now. And so they actually have the same people that do the Christmas markets, that operate the Christmas markets in Europe, actually have one in Buckhead.
They
Atlanta.
do. There's
And
one in Atlanta. I have seen it before.
And I was like, how cool is that? We went to it like the last day, and I was like, it was totally authentic, which I just thought was like the best thing since sliced bread.
I don't know. The first time I went, they were like selling phone cases and things like that. It wasn't as authentic as the fig figurines that they make in some of the cities in Europe. But
we kind of went the last day, and we'll have to check it out this year. See, we'll look at it all. But yeah, so let's see.
Oh, this is a great question. I just saw one of the questions come up. Sorry.
Which one was it?
The Grand European one.
Okay, so we got that.
Yeah.
Let's see here. It says they booked a Grand European river cruise from Budapest to Amsterdam for the spring of 2023, and they have Air Plus with 2 business class seats selected. But I've heard I can book airlines myself and not wait for a Viking to book. How do I do that? And wow, what a question. I constantly see this question or similar questions on the Viking group.
Yeah, so the first thing I have to say is you're going to have a wonderful time on the Grand European, and congratulations on picking a great itinerary to experience. Secondly, I would say, I I would tell you to work with a travel agent next time, because the travel agent will do this for you and you won't have to wait for Viking's timeline to do your flights or seats. That being said, I do need to mention that, the cruise line typically would do these flights about 10 months prior to departure, but now they have pushed that much closer in because the airlines are making so many changes to flights that they were working the schedule 6 and 7 times before the guest leaves, and they just don't have the manpower to do it. So they're pushing it off until a later time when they know that the airlines' schedules will be somewhat better solidified. But to answer your question, they have introduced a tool in My Viking Journey called My Viking Air, and you can actually go into that Air tab of the My Viking Journey portal and be able to select your flights from their contracted rates. So you can do it yourself. It is somewhat limited what they offer there, but depending on where you're coming from, you could pick a really great schedule or have the opportunity to choose a really great schedule. If that doesn't work out for you, I would encourage you to call the air department and speak with them. If you have Air Plus on the booking, chances are with business class, you're going to have a fantastic experience with your air. I just know that business class has been a challenge this year and next, for as far as seats go and getting what you want. So I would encourage you to do it early. If you go into My Viking Journey today and look at it, you should be able to click on your itinerary and select some flights.
Cool. Thank you for your answer there. So we've got more comments rolling in here. I'm trying to see here. It says, yeah, so this person commented, they said, they hope that Royal Caribbean has been taking care about disinfecting the ships. Of course, they're worried about COVID. And yeah, I believe they have been. I think all the cruise lines have really stepped it up and have, amazing protocols and procedures in place to do the best they can. Of course, it is a respiratory issue more than anything. So that's always debatable. So let's see here. Let's see. Now, Alice asked a question, and she says, thanks for the info. Better off at dock and at ocean, even in odd number of rooms in the Greek ocean cruise. I'm not really sure.
So the question, I think, is, are you better off on the port side or the starboard side, based on the question, and in the even cabins or the odd cabins, which would determine the side of the ship. The truth of the matter is every sailing is different. And depending on the direction and what you want to see, the answer would be different. But to be blatantly honest with you, when the ship is docked, the captain has the choice of docking it, with the port side facing the port or the port side facing the ocean. So there is no rhyme or reason anymore to how the ships are docked in these ports. Sometimes these ports have port captains that come on the ship, and the port captain pulls the ship into the port. So I tell my clients that while everybody feels that this is a really significant choice to make when they're sailing, to be honest with you, the ship is going to sail so far from land. I don't think it's going to make any difference what side of the ship you're on. I would really focus my energy on choosing something that would be closer to midship, so you limit the amount of motion that you have. Although the area of the world you're traveling in typically doesn't have a ton of motion, I encourage my clients to book more midship over side of ship, depending on the itinerary. So there are some itineraries where it's very important. I don't believe that the Greek Isles would be one of them because, as I said, the ship could dock either side, depending on what the needs are for the port that day.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. So Victoria had a question or a comment. She says, I wouldn't book air myself. We use Air Plus and the travel agent Grand European last September, and it was amazing. Actually went to Munich for Oktoberfest from our ship. Viking is just wonderful that way.
Yes, I agree. Working with an agent is your best bet because they're going to be able to give you the full caveats of any flight choices, layovers, that kind of thing. The air department at Viking is really great. Their agents are really well trained, but they don't always look at all the caveats in getting the guest there. That's something that an expertise that a travel agent can bring to the equation when you're looking at that stuff. I know that my clients are grateful for the information that we share with them. It's never about just getting them a schedule. It's about getting the right schedule and something that we know they're going to be comfortable with, that's going to get them there and back. It's really important to us that we help our guests pick the right flights. So I agree. The best option would be to work with a really qualified travel agent that can give you the right advice.
Definitely.
Me included, by the way.
Yeah, it's not just a sales thing. It's actually like convenience, because I honestly see people post all the time. First of all, using Michael doesn't cost you anything. Some travel agents, and I've sat at tables with them, and they're great. But they'll say, "Listen, I charge a fee because." Well, Michael doesn't do that as part of his business plan, and his structure. So why don't you work with the best and not have to worry about these things? And it really does pain me sometimes to see people post on these Facebook groups where if they just had a travel agent, it would have been taken care of. But they're on the phone with some call center and with whatever brand it is, and they're just kind of aimless. You know what I mean? Where if you have someone that does this every day, that's award winning, knows the ins and outs, knows those little things. It's just like any other, service. But the structure of travel is you have agents like Michael that actually, this is what they do. They have, people that they work with that Michael gets trained constantly, that knows the ins and outs, how to deliver quick and great service to the customers. So they're not pained by these questions about air and what have you, all these little nuances. And there's nothing worse, I think, than being stressed out trying to worry about air or this or that before a cruise. It should be a fun and enjoyable experience and not a headache where you're literally posting on our Facebook group going, I'm leaving in such and such days and I don't know what I'm doing,
Right. And I think one of the biggest differences, I get the question a lot about fees. In fact, having just returned from that conference, I have a lot of other agents that are like, I can't believe you don't charge any fees. Yeah. We never charge a fee ever to our guests. And that's just something that I fully believe in. I also think that, the knowledge that we have, what we bring to the table is service and knowledge. I tell my clients that every day. It's something that I feel is really important. I have personally been on, I think, 21 now Viking cruises, probably over 200 cruises overall on different lines. And that knowledge is what gives our clients, what they need to make decisions about the trip that we need to plan for them. And I think that's going to be the biggest difference between working directly with Viking and working with a qualified agent such as myself, because we are going to be able to bring firsthand knowledge and firsthand experience to those to planning your trip. And that's something that can be really invaluable, right? So that is something that I think guests value the most. Is the availability and service that we provide, as well as the knowledge and helping them plan the trip. A vacation is an investment, and it's something that we look at that way, and we want to make sure our guests get the most out of the investment they're making in their vacation.
Yeah, no doubt. And so I guess we cleared that up, didn't we? We went over quite a bit there because I know we see the same things, and I just think it's a good choice. Let's see. A few years ago back, this user says they took a transatlantic cruise from Puerto Rico to Barcelona. Do you know if they're going to have more cruises like the one that I did?
So there still are sailings that go from Puerto Rico to Barcelona. The Vikings trip is available. It's usually, I think it's in March and November that it's offered, San Juan to Barcelona, and then Barcelona back for the winter season. So definitely is available. I think it's called West Indies to Iberia. And then they have a couple of other transatlantics that are available as well from Fort Lauderdale and San Juan. So those are all repositioning cruises while they're moving the ships around for the beginning and the end of the European season. So definitely are available. And I know my clients, I have some clients that love transatlantics, and I have clients that are leaving in March for their 4th transatlantic on a Viking ship. They just love the time at sea and what there is to do on board the ship while they're traveling.
And the first thing that jumps in my mind when you were talking about that was just what a deal they are too. They're some of the best discounted cruises at least they used to be,
Yeah.
throughout the year. I mean, because like on a per day basis, it's much more affordable. Is that still true?
It's true. It's the per diem cost is less than it would be on some of the other, because it's less to operate for the cruise line, and it's also, they're filler cruises, so they're filling in the blanks. The interesting part is that for some reason I think that the Viking sailings are more popular, less hard to fill for them, because people are so used to what they have to do on board, the lectures, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I was talking about more of the mass market lines, where they have the
Yeah.
repositioning is people who seem on the mass market lines. They usually want more ports, and so the like a Carnival Royal Caribbean ship that's going transatlantic might not sell as well compared to, of course, Viking cruisers love that. So,
Yeah, for sure.
so let's see here. We've still got a few comments here. We're still going through, but we got this here. Um, so let's see. Now with Norwegian Prima, what did you think of the Haven?
Yeah, so it was incredible, the Haven. I love any suite accommodation. I think you've probably grown to know that. So yeah, we were in the Haven. It was a really wonderful experience. So
Okay, you were the Haven, so that's cool.
yeah.
Now the whole back of the ship on the Norwegian Prima is the Haven. Did you like that particular design?
I didn't notice a difference. I noticed that when I looked down off the balcony, I could see all these great venues on board the ship. But other than that, it really didn't make a difference in the experience that we had. But it was a really great experience from beginning to end.
Okay, let's see here. Oh, we got a comment here from Julie Thompson. Thanks, Julie, for making a comment. And she says, on the Dura River, is there, this up here, the Dura River, is there any dedicated cruising time on the river when there isn't an excursion happening concurrently? I read in the group that the ship moves while we are on excursions. I just wanted to know if there was a time to see the landscape while cruising.
Yeah, the ship definitely isn't always moving when you're on an excursion. It will move in the morning. It's a little bit different than on the rivers at the other parts of Europe, because the ship typically does not move at night. So they don't have traffic on the rivers at night. So usually you'll be moving early in the morning, or while the ship is on the guests on board the ship are on an excursion. But to be honest with you, you will have plenty of opportunities to see the scenery from the ship. It's a really scenic itinerary, and it's a beautiful part of the world. Lisbon is one of my favorite cities in the whole world. So if you're spending extra time there, you need to take some time on your own to explore the city. There are some great food tours there in Lisbon that I always recommend. I think it's called Eat, Drink, Walk Lisbon. So if you have extra time to do a half-day tour with them, they're fantastic. I certainly would encourage anybody to even add additional time in Lisbon, because it is such a beautiful city to explore.
Let's see. Excuse me. Victoria O'Neill says, we're doing the Amazon in January. How do we get accurate weather info so we know what clothes to pack for the excursions? Also, should we pack bug spray?
Yeah, I would definitely pack bug spray for sure. But I get this question a lot about the weather, and it's very hard to tell. My recommendation would be to check the weather within 2 weeks of departure and then pack accordingly based on that. It's always safe to have extra layers with you, but I definitely would check the weather 2 weeks before and then plan your packing accordingly, because the weather can sometimes be unpredictable, and doing it very far in advance will just cause you to look at it again 2 weeks before you leave and change everything you've done. So I would just hold off until closer to your sailing date, check the weather forecast, and see what you would need to pack at that point.
Great. So any other recommendations, or I know you're constantly talking to your customers. Is there any suggestions that you have for the group here that while we wait for any more questions or comments that people might not be thinking about. I know there's insurance, there's
Like, that's what I was going to say. Insurance. Insurance is something I get questions about all the time. Insurance, air. Those are probably the two biggest questions I get. I mean, I really encourage people to take insurance, especially in the environment we're in now. There is no more risk-free cancellation per se. So where Viking was offering the ability to cancel 24 hours or 14 days prior to departure and getting everything as a future cruise credit, those days are long gone. Unless people have booked during that time, the ability to cancel under risk-free is now no longer available. So the insurance is really the only way to protect the investment. And I think that a lot of people are we see a lot more people taking insurance now than in the past, just because of the coverage that it provides with, COVID and that type of thing. It's very important to have a backup plan. If you have to cancel or get sick while you're traveling, or interrupt your trip to come home because somebody at home is sick or ill, insurance is something that a lot of people say, oh no, I don't need insurance. And then when you cover what it covers with them, they're like, oh, well, maybe I probably should have that. So it's something that we offer our clients, because I don't ever want to be in the position where I can't get my clients' money back. And that is a tool of which we can get their money back if they have an unforeseen circumstance that causes an interruption or a cancellation of their trip.
And that has to be the hardest part about your business, but also it can be rewarding too, I imagine. Whereas, what I'm trying to say is that's probably that phone call you get late at night, or European time or something, where someone calls you, a client calls you and says, this happened, I need to get home.
Yeah.
And at least you have an answer, because without the insurance, that'd be a hard conversation.
Look, I tell people all the time, I have stories that I could tell for days, but I had a client who told me that, he didn't need to have insurance, that they were just going to be in the Caribbean, and he didn't need to have insurance. And I hate that this situation happened, but his wife ended up having a ruptured appendix. They had to airlift his wife from the private island to Miami. He had to sign a promissory note for like $29,000 to have her airlifted. And, had he had the insurance that for that cruise was pretty inexpensive, he wouldn't have had to come out of pocket for that. And that's something that people don't anticipate. I think that people are like, oh no, they say, oh, I'm definitely going to go on the trip, or we're definitely going. Well, insurance covers what you cannot anticipate. That is the point of the travel insurance. And I think that it's something that, if you look at the trip as an investment, it's something to help protect your investment. And, these trips that we're talking about with Viking, they are experiences that have incredible value from the beginning to the end. But, that doesn't always mean it's inexpensive. So protecting that investment is very important.
Well said there. Yeah. I think a lot of people don't think about that. So I'm glad you covered that and shared that. So we have a Facebook user here. It says, which months are the best to do cruising to Rome, Italy, Greece, etc.? So
I think the Med is really best in May through September. To be honest, May and September are probably the best times. June, July, and August are good times too, but they tend to be much more crowded and much warmer times of the year. Greece especially is not really fully open, November through March, as far as people there take time off during that time in the tourist areas. So really the best times to go are going to be the summer months, May through September, with May and September being the best, in my opinion.
Great. And Kathy West is commenting on YouTube. She says, we went on the Douro River cruise several years ago with 2 nights in Lisbon. We sailed a lot during the day. It was a wonderful trip.
Great, Kathy. Thank you for reassuring the other guests of what I said. It's 100% true. It is such a scenic and beautiful itinerary. There's no way they wouldn't let you see it from the river ship itself. And it is a very enjoyable time in Lisbon. So I'm glad you enjoyed it so much.
And Stuart has commented, do Mediterranean September, October. So that's his point on that.
Yeah, and Stuart just got back from a similar itinerary. So that's firsthand advice too.
Yeah. So, and then we've got another Facebook user here. It says, we're doing the South American cruise December 1st through 18th. Do you anticipate that we will be COVID tested every day or just certain days of the cruise?
So it's very hard for me to say what will happen on your specific cruise, but I am certain that Viking will inform you if their protocols change. Right now, I don't anticipate it would be daily testing or random testing, but these are subject to change. And, they will issue something if there is a change in the policies. I have not seen anything significant about that in recent weeks. So I think we would just have to wait until you're a little bit closer. We're pretty close now. But yes, you should be getting some notifications shortly of what those requirements will be. And if they change, they will definitely update you. But it's a great question.
And then we have a Facebook user. Actually, it's Cheryl Eisner. I believe I'm saying that right. She goes, Dublin has been replaced by Douglas on the British Isles cruise in August. Is this due to fewer ships being allowed in the port?
Yeah, from what I understand, it has to do with the infrastructure of the port as well as port congestion. So it is an unanticipated change by the cruise line. And, but you will still have the experience that that itinerary is just incredible. I remember a few years back taking a group on that specific itinerary. And I tell people this all the time. It was not something that I was really excited about, but fell in love with the itinerary. So you're going to have a wonderful experience, regardless of the ports. But yeah, it is. I know that they have made some changes, and people get a little bit nervous when there are changes like that. So I'm certain it will not affect your overall experience.
Yeah, that's people do worry about those things because I think, but the ships move around and there's always little changes like that. It seems like, but
I think what we're seeing now with a lot of ports, and this is all over the world, the Caribbean, Europe, Great Britain, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, we are seeing the itineraries change slightly because although the world is open, these ports don't have, the infrastructure set up or started enough to handle, the anticipated number of guests that are coming off of the cruise ship. So that is one of the challenges that I think we're seeing, just like we're seeing labor force issues in this country, they're seeing them in other countries. And so, revving back up is something that is taking longer than anticipated in some of the parts of the world. I get a lot of questions about shore excursions. When are my shore excursions going to open? The cruise line is anticipating that they're going to be able to operate all the excursions that they've operated in the past. And but getting the space confirmed is taking longer because some of these ports are just opening up. And so, the world is open, but not everybody is working the way they were before the pandemic. And so that is the challenge that a lot of these tour operators have in these cities.
Yeah, with Viking, I know I see a lot of comments on that. People will log into the My Viking Journey and they'll try to book their excursions, but a lot of times people will see things as sold out. I know there's talking about the expedition cruising as far as the submarine or the special operation boats. And so there was a little bit of confusion with that, where other guests were saying, well, wait till you get on board, because sometimes those things are as available, and sometimes they won't know if they get permission, I think, until they get to that location. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you can't pre-reserve the special ops boats or any of that stuff until you're on board, because they don't know where they're going to operate them and what days they'll operate them and where they're going to be where, especially with the Antarctica sailings. I get a lot of questions about the excursions for Antarctica. These excursions are done on the fly. The ship is moved, from where there is wildlife to another area where there's wildlife, so that the guests can get the full experience. So they can't plan that they're going to be here or there on a specific day, because the weather or the wildlife may affect, where they go. So those itineraries are more done on the fly, and that would include the equipment on board the expedition ships, like the special ops boats.
Yeah, I know when we were on board the Viking Octanus, they were saying they have to they have to get government permission. Like when they get there, they have to ask, and if they don't get it, they don't get it. So it is really, they love to do it, they said, but between the weather conditions having to be perfect, where the waves aren't too high, for the guests to get on board safely, and then also the government regulations where they have to get specific permission, as they sail into those places. It gets complicated.
Yeah, it does. And it's not always something that can be pre-planned. And the cruise lines have to pivot sometimes, and it's unanticipated. And that pivot sometimes affects the anxiety that guests feel about traveling, and that's totally understandable. But in the environment that we're operating in today, those pivots are necessary. So sometimes they have to change ports or times or the orders and the order of the ports. And that's why I always encourage my clients to look at the cruise line excursions first. If there's something you want to do that's outside of what the cruise line offers, then there's definitely, the opportunity to do that. We absolutely have companies that offer private excursions, custom excursions. But, if it's possible to use the cruise line excursions, that's another reason to use them, because you are going to be, if they have to make a change to that itinerary, you're not going to be stuck paying for an excursion where the ship didn't get in that day. So, it is a benefit to booking the excursions with the cruise line. But sometimes that doesn't always work, or it doesn't always fit, and there has to be a custom excursion or something private that needs to be done. But when it comes to booking the excursions on ocean, I know that there are some tricks to the trade of being able to do that. And we share that with our clients, and we make sure that they understand the best way to go about booking the excursions. That's always seems to be a challenge on the ocean, and it's something that I think a good travel agent can help with if they're having trouble with it.
Yeah, especially someone like yourself that's actually visited these places multiple times. You actually have an insight that someone that hasn't been to these places as many times could share.
And I'm Italian, so I have an opinion about everything, including what excursions you should go on.
That's funny. So I can relate. So this user, I don't know if you can see this, Michael. They're saying they're happy with Viking, and they did Carnival and was dissatisfied. Is Viking similar to? I'm not sure what they're saying. They said they meant Viking. So maybe if you could rephrase that question, so we don't want to mess up your question here.
I think that they're saying that they're very happy with the Royal Caribbean cruise they did, but they were not happy at all with Carnival. Is Viking similar to Royal Caribbean? So the answer to the question is the similarity between Viking and Royal Caribbean is that they're really both cruises. I think other than that, they're probably very different. Royal Caribbean really focuses on the family market, and Viking is a smaller ship and focuses more on the older American market. I don't want to say older, but couples, singles traveling. But they definitely are not welcoming to families, because they don't even take guests under the age of 18. So if you're a family of adults, then yes, it's a great trip for adult families, but very different from what Royal Caribbean offers. So I know John has experienced both Carnival and Royal Caribbean and may have an opinion too. I personally think Royal Caribbean is one of the best values out there for the family market. And if you love it, I could probably list 100 reasons why, because they have phenomenal ships and great amenities for families.
Yeah, I think the first thing is just I think every cruise line has its strengths and time to book that type of product. I really look at it as products, because they're all really, really good. From someone that's traveled on land and of course sea, there's a place for everything. And Viking just has a totally different vibe than Royal Caribbean. Of course, the ships are much smaller, so it's much more of an intimate, definitely much more luxurious experience. And so, yeah, I think it's great though. I recommend it obviously all the time, because I think everybody needs to experience it.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to.
And the inclusions are very different.
Yeah, much more.
an included excursion in every port, beer and wine with lunch and dinner, complimentary Wi-Fi, complimentary bottled water. I say it 50 times
Laundry
a day.
service.
Laundry service, self-service laundry on the ocean product. Yeah.
Yeah, you did. If you add up that on a mass market cruise line, you've almost got the price of a cruise right there.
Right. Exactly.
So I mean, it's true.
But they're very good. They're both excellent. The bottom line is they're both excellent products. They just serve two different markets. And but I can assure you, when you're ready to do a Viking cruise, you will absolutely love it. So
very well said. Yes. So and then the Open Eye Theater. Thanks for joining us. There's from YouTube. They're going on the Viking Mars from Bali to Sydney in December. They need some guidance, Michael, with the special apps for COVID and visas.
Yeah, so I definitely would encourage you to speak with your agent about those things, the apps and the visas. If you're talking about the apps for the different countries, there should be some guidance that Viking can provide with those, with completing those visas and applications. But I would encourage you to ask your agent to assist you with that. It's something that we work with every day. The visa process is something that we really encourage guests to look at with, the visa companies that the cruise lines use, like Gen Visa or Visa Central. They will assist you with the visas. If you're talking about electronic visas online, which I think the majority of what you're looking at is, they're very, very easy to complete and just have a nominal fee to complete online, and you print off something to take with you. It's not like a stamp or anything you have to send your passport off for. So you can easily see the requirements for your specific cruise by going to the itinerary, and at the top of the page on Viking's website, going to the itinerary at the top of the page, clicking resources and requirements for my trip, and it will show you what's required for your specific trip.
Awesome. I've never had to get a visa.
Yeah.
I just haven't had to do that yet. So I was listening in to. So.
It's probably one of the most nerve-wracking processes if you have to send your passport off, because the whole time it's gone, you're thinking to yourself, what if I have to go somewhere and I need my passport? But yes, it is something that I've done several times myself. And yeah, it's an interesting process. Every country is different. So I understand this guest's anxiety about it, because it is every country is different.
And here's another question. I think it was the person from earlier. They said, is the Wi-Fi on board restricted to the number of devices on Viking, I believe?
Yeah, it is restricted to the number of devices based on the category that you're in. I think everybody gets 2 devices, but it's very easy to log out of one and into the other pretty quickly. So yeah, but a lot less limited than most of the cruise lines are, for sure.
Ooh, let's see here. So we got a Royal Caribbean user, I believe. So this is from the Royal Caribbean group. Once again, make sure to give StreamYard your permission on the event. There's a little link. It just basically gives the group permission to use your name. Otherwise, it hides you. It calls you Facebook user and puts your. So it says, I'm looking forward to my next cruise because they're Crown of Jamaica member and they're now Diamond, and just made a Diamond room for us. So very cool.
That's very exciting. Yep. Diamond status is very exciting on Royal Caribbean. You have access to many things that are complimentary with that status. So congratulations.
Yeah, we did the Symphony of the Seas in, I think it was April. And yeah, loved it. And what's nice about it now is it basically includes like 4 drinks a day. And it's pretty amazing. So it's almost like a free drink package, at your disposal. With number, very nice, and they've kept it going, because it's been so popular, which is really good. So let's see, we're open for any more questions or comments. We appreciate all of you watching and joining us. We really appreciate it. But yeah, just the cruise, we could talk all day about what's going on in the cruise industry. I know we don't get a chance to talk too much outside of the live streams, but really, really amazing what's happening. Is there anything in the horizon that you can think of that you're looking forward to? And I was going to ask about the Mississippi River. I haven't had a chance to look into that. How is that going?
I mean, they've experienced some challenges, I think, as they would with any new itinerary. And then there were some low water issues that impeded the start of the season. So, and they are realizing that there should be some changes to the itineraries that they make in the future. I think guests are now seeing that they're going to have, complimentary one-night pre-hotel for some of the immediate departures. That might be something that stays or goes. I'm not really sure. But I will say that my clients have told me that the ship is stunning and, it's just a really great experience. But they've had challenges with it and they're going to work through the challenges. And as Viking always does, they step up and make sure that the guest is well taken care of when those challenges present themselves. So I'm confident that those guests that are looking forward to a Mississippi River cruise in the near future will have a wonderful experience. I think that one of the biggest things that people don't understand about cruising, especially on the U.S. rivers, is that these ships have to be crewed with all U.S. crew, right? With 75% of the crew has to be U.S. So that the operating cost for that cruise is more expensive. And, the service levels and things like that are something that have to be brought up to a certain level when a sailing starts. So I really think it's going to be a superior product to what we're seeing out there right now. And definitely the hardware is just beyond incredible. So.
Yeah, they look incredible. And I just hadn't been on my radar. I just knew that some had gotten canceled, I believe. And I was like, wow, I hope it's not, still having problems on the river. And that's year round. They do a year round itinerary, right?
They do. Yep, they do year round. So it's very, very exciting. I think we'll probably see more ships on the river from Viking on the Mississippi and maybe other parts of the U.S. So, yeah, it's a great thing. So
let's see. And then Facebook user goes, I'm glad to know I still have my 4 drinks free. Last cruise, I wasn't able to drink them, only 2. It's actually a challenge to try to use all the drinks, because there's so many of them there.
Yeah.
But really, really nice that World has done that.
Just to clarify for those guests that are watching this for Viking, this guest is talking about Royal Caribbean free drinks, not on Viking. So just to clarify that, but yeah. That's
thanks for the clarification. Well, I think we're wrapping up here, I think, but we really appreciate everybody's joining us today and all the comments and questions. If you haven't already subscribed to our channels that you're watching via YouTube or Facebook, we'd really appreciate it. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, like we said. We'd love your support to keep these programming going on and grow the channel and have more and more people join us and make this even more dynamic. But we really appreciate you joining us for this noontime. We haven't done I think this might be our first time we've done this time of day.
Yeah, I think so. I think we might have done one Sunday at this time, but yeah.
Well, this is great, and we really appreciate you joining us. And once again, congratulations for so many great awards. And, you never cease to amaze me with, just off the cuff, where you can share your knowledge and experience with everyone here for so many different brands. So it's just really, really a pleasure.
Well, I appreciate it. It's my pleasure too. It's something I really enjoy doing, these videos and answering questions. So it's something I look forward to doing. And I am very grateful again to my clients and my team who've helped us, achieve those awards. The one I'm most proud of, I think, is the Global Top Producer Award for Viking, which means we sell more than any other agency in the world for them 8 years in a row now. So very excited about that.
That is incredible.
Yeah,
it really is. Well, we have another comment here. We don't want to miss anybody here. So we'll end this with thank you for a wonderful programming. Thank you so much. We really appreciate having you here. It's a real honor. And so on that note, Michael, have a wonderful rest of your Saturday. Everybody else have a great rest of your Saturday. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Thank you for your likes, your subscribes, your comments. We really appreciate it. And until next time, have a great day. I messed up my little outline. Have a great day and be safe and happy cruising.
Thanks, John. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone too.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
All right.
Bye-bye.